right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. So this is a continuation of last month's presentation around our month-end checklist series. So last time we went through how to get your sales numbers into into your GL system, no matter whether you're cash basis, you're on QuickBooks, NetSuite, Sage Intacct, whatever you're on, how to go through that and how Blue Onion can help you facilitate that whole process. So from there, we're going to kind of step into the next step in a normal e-commerce process, which is going to be the revenue recognition, as well as cost of goods sold adjustment and inventory adjustments. So I'm really excited to show you and walk you through all of that. So this is just an overview, again, running through what we've gone through before and where we're going for our month-end checklist here. Last time we went through our sales entries, we talked about replacements, replacement orders, complementary orders, cancellations, different things like that. This time we're going to move into order fulfillment and update revenue recognition, as well as reviewing our deferred revenue and booking adjustments there, and recording our cost of goods sold adjustment and how Blue Onion might be able to help with that. But we don't stop there. We still have more in November and December. So in November, we're going to be going through how to book our payment processor fees, how you can reconcile your orders and processor fees to your payouts at the bank seamlessly, and then reviewing your cash in transit from the prior month and from the current month. And then in December, we'll go through and look at a few balance sheet items, like our gift card balances, redemptions on gift cards and expirations, as well as sales tax remittance and how you can review that. So how do you revenue? Three ways we generally see people doing this. Again, if you remember last time, you'll remember that these are very similar. It's kind of, if your first step is recording sales one way, your revenue is going to be kind of following right behind that, or your revenue recognition. So for monthly summary journal entries, again, you're going to have a summary journal entry that's doing your revenue recognition as well. If you're getting your sales in at a summary level, you're not going to start doing your revenue at an order level. So you'll have order level data accessed in another place. That might be Shopify, that might be Amazon, or a combination of the two, an Excel sheet that sort of combines that all, or we'll show you how Blue Onion might be able to help with that as well. And then you take those, summarize them, and put them into the financial statements. So you're not really needing any sort of granularity within your financial statements. You're good with pretty summarized high-level data. The middle one, number two here, are those where they have an automated order level of sales. And so your automated order level of revenue is also going to happen. So a lot of our customers that we see in this situation use NetSuite as their ERP. They'll have connectors that are bringing over their sales order into NetSuite. On the back end of that, their 3PL is connected into NetSuite, or they're doing fulfillment straight out of NetSuite. And they'll have that all kind of automated. The fulfillment happens on the back end. So there, a lot of our customers who use us are actually looking for validation and a third independent verification of that information, so we can supply that. And then you're obviously dealing with a lot of data at that level, right? So it's hard to kind of figure out where are your problems, if you have any problems, and we can show you how Blue Onion can help with that. And then the last is cash basis. So you're really not concerned about revenue recognition so much, because you're booking your revenue when you see cash settled. So there's no dispute about whether anything should be recognized. However, we do see a lot of customers in this situation who work with Shopify, right? And Shopify actually kind of flips the script on this a little bit, to where they are collecting payment out front and they're paying you out pretty immediately. So you might be accepting cash for something that you haven't actually fulfilled, and how do you identify that gap of things that are unfulfilled? And we can talk through how to see all of that too. So those are the three ways that we generally see people trying to tackle this problem of revenue recognition. And so the next question is, how can Blue Onion help? So I've alluded to that a bit here, but I'm just going to jump over to our application. So this is Blue Onion app, as we went through in our sales demo, or in our sales kind of module last month. Here, we're going to be looking at revenue recognition. And so let's kind of take scenario one where we've already booked our deferred revenue. So we've booked this liability out to our customers to ship merchandise to them or whatever we're providing for them. And then we have refunds. So we've already booked all of this last time, right? So the next step, what we're looking at is our revenue recognition in the same period. So this is looking at not the overlap of the orders placed in the period and shipped out in the period, but really the revenue that was shipped out regardless of when it was ordered. And so what we're going to do there is we're going to reverse out our deferred revenue by payment processor. Sorry, not payment processor, by order management system, but broken out into its component pieces of gross revenue, shipping revenue, and discounts. And we're going to move that on to the income statement in those same component pieces. So this is really helpful in those situations where people are booking their revenue recognition on a lump level, where we see that this helps out a lot for people in both order management systems. There's kind of accomplishing or narrowing down on two different problems. With Shopify, finding reporting with the fulfillment level data is actually relatively difficult. And they don't make that reporting easily available on a kind of like overall order basis or over a certain period of time. So here you're seeing that Shopify data. We can click through here. And again, if we're kind of in that number one section that we were looking at before, where we're booking these summary journal entries and we're trusting someone else to keep the sub ledger, whether that's Excel or Blue Onion in this case, we have that here. So down to the line item level, we're tracking when your fulfillments are happening. And so if you have split shipments where something shipped this month versus next month, we are tracking those in the appropriate periods. And on the shipping revenue, we also have full level of granularity order by order on all of the shipping that was charged out by either Shopify or Amazon. So that's kind of how we address the Shopify issue of just that reporting is really hard to get and is kind of not available within Shopify and hard to replicate. The other is with Amazon Seller. So Amazon Seller actually only reports this information to you when that's actually shipped out and they've paid you on it. So you don't get any reporting from Amazon on any of this information until they've shipped it and they've paid you for it. And so it kind of forces you into an almost cash basis accounting that's going on there. And so what we can support here is we actually have the order level data that you had up here. And we can marry that in with this change in deferred revenue. So when we've shipped that out, seeing that fulfillment. And that kind of gets to the next page that we want to go over, which is our deferred revenue page. So if we, the easiest way to look at this is kind of over a series of months. So if we go back to November and kind of bring that through January, which is the month we were just looking at, you can see here that in November, $59,000 of merchandise was ordered. And I'm just going to actually just narrow this down to Amazon since that was kind of how we transitioned over here. So in that case, only $11,000 of merchandise was ordered in November. We fulfilled a lot of that in November itself. So here we're starting to get into fulfillment month. And this gives you a waterfall of for each month. So November is our order month. When was all of our merchandise fulfilled? And so moving into December here, we're seeing that a little bit was fulfilled in December. So we have our total fulfilled, which is the sum of all of these. And then the other way we can have orders that aren't fulfilled, right, is through cancellation. So people decided they didn't want it and it never shipped out. So I have cancellations here. Similarly, we have a waterfall of when those cancellations happen. So did they happen in the month in which they were ordered? Generally seems to be true here in this data. But if it happened in latter periods, we would show that to you. And then at the back end here, we're showing you the total remaining that's been ordered but not fulfilled. And this is actually a gap in some of the Amazon reporting that's hard to get on their end. Is they're usually giving you payout reports or monthly reports of things that have happened, but it's pretty difficult to find that overlap of data of what orders were placed in Amazon that for some reason hadn't been fulfilled, right? So this gives you all of that data down to a line item level. Again, you can see all of the information about that piece of merchandise that hasn't been fulfilled. And then you can kind of follow up with your operations team or kind of go through and figure out what's going on. Does that need to be canceled? Is it back ordered and we know that it's not going to be shipped out? So that's really helpful. We do also provide all of this for Shopify, or you can look at it all combined as well. So over time, you can track all of your revenue recognition and the deferred revenue that's outstanding at any given moment, to kind of book your balance sheet entry or the change in your balance sheet entry for your deferred revenue, or just check your balances. And so that actually is one thing that we've really been really helpful for people to rebuild also, is when you transition into a period where you're maybe more focused on your books than you were previously, and before summary journal entries were okay, but you didn't know what your deferred revenue balance was, it's hard to rebuild that sometimes. And so we've actually had people on board. We can grab historical data, take all of the orders that have happened over the last 6 months, year, whatever that period may be, for you to feel confident that you're building an accurate deferred revenue balance. And then we can rebuild that for you based off of your orders and fulfillments that have happened over that period, and say, hey, here's the total remaining from all of those periods, so that you have confidence in what your deferred revenue balance is. And here in Blue Onion, you now have that subledger to kind of prove out what that balance is on an order by order level, even if you don't want to get that granularity into your GL. So for those of you that are booking your orders into your GL, and you have your 3PL running through and booking your fulfillments, your revenue recognition may be less of a problem. But like I said before, when you do have those issues with your revenue recognition, right? Like if you're trying to identify those issues, how are you going to resolve those? Where do you find a place that's a third-party verification of your revenue recognition and your deferred revenue balance? That's what we're trying to help you with. That's what we have a lot of customers validating their information with in our app, is using us to see all of that information. So that kind of goes through, how would you go through the process of booking summary journal entries? How could we help you validate this? What reporting do we have around revenue recognition and deferred revenue, and helping you know fulfillment? One other piece of helpful data that I just want to walk through here to kind of close out this section of our month-end checklist is our order line item summary. So the way I usually describe this is it's really just a pivot table on top of a lot of data, a lot of order line item detail, right? So we're taking every line item that you have from all of your different orders across a given period. Right now, we're looking at this fulfillment created at. You can change this to ordered at, fulfillment at, like however you want to look at this data. You can do that on order date or ship date. Since we're talking about revenue recognition, I'm going to leave this on fulfillment created at, because that's most relevant to our revenue recognition, right? So here you can see we have a group by. We're grouping this right now by product type. So we see dresses, teas, toothbrushes. We're giving you quantity of each of those items, the gross revenue, discounts, and sales for each of, and sales tax for each of those, right? You can also throw your filter on and look at that by order management system. So we do have customers who are looking at this for cost of goods sold, and that's where I want to transition to. Is most of you out there, some might be doing it on product title. So product title here, we just have blue, green, red, right? Some of you might have your cost of goods sold by the product title. So whether that's like, in this case, let's just say this is actually a blue dress that we know costs $100 for us to make, a green toothbrush that costs 50 cents, and then a red t-shirt that costs $3, right? So if we know the quantity that was fulfilled during this period, we can see that quantity. We're saying, all right, this blue dress is $100 times $13.93 quantity. We can come up with what is our cost of goods sold, or our inventory adjustment for this period, and be very confident that that's aligned with our revenue recognition, because you're getting that all from Blue Onion, right? So your fulfillment dates are all matched up between inventory moving out and revenue being recognized, and you can be confident that there's parity in your books in that way. What we see most of our customers using or organizing this information by, though, is by SKU. That's where most people have their cost of goods sold data. So that might be a medium shirt is a little bit different price than a large shirt versus a small shirt. And so for each of these SKUs, you'll have what does it cost you to create that product in your books. We'll have all of the fulfillments for each and every SKU that were shipped out during that period. So you can see all of these quantities. There's 40 pages at 100 each of all of these different SKUs that are going out. This is exportable, so you can export that, do a super quick VLOOKUP off of your SKU to bring in your cost of goods sold data, multiply that by your quantity, and right away you have your top level adjustment for your cost of goods sold off of the top of that. So really, really effective way to align your revenue recognition with your cost of goods sold data, and getting parity in your books like we were talking about before. So that's really helpful, again, in that kind of scenario one where you're doing those summary journal entries and you want to trust us to be your subledger for this information. But it's also really helpful in making sure that in that case where you might be on NetSuite or an ERP that can handle that order level data, you have a validation of what SKUs shipped out, what all adjustments do I need to be making in our cost of goods sold, and you have a third-party verification of all of that. So if you want to have thorough reconciliation on all of that, we can support that as well. That's a lot of how we can help with that. So I just want to kind of like highlight, we are doing this with over 200 brands and accounting firms across e-commerce mostly, but a lot of different industries as well. Here's just a few of those different logos that we are supporting, and different accounting partners that we work with every single day. We have a lot of really great relationships across the industry, and that's growing every single day. And so also just want to highlight, we support a ton of different payment processors. I know that we were talking mostly about revenue recognition, but an important part of revenue recognition is following that out through to the payout, which we'll get into next time. Our next step, as we kind of went through the different parts of our monthly checklist, right, is to see all of the fees that these processors are paying us, what's included in the payout, how do I know what orders I've been paid out on and haven't, and when did that happen. If that's your problem, please stick with us next month. That'll be in kind of on the second week of November. So looking forward to seeing some of you again then. And then we'd love to hear from you. So please, if you would love to learn more about what Blue Onion is doing, reach out to us. You can see sales at Blue Onion. If you have any questions about what we went through here, here's my email, just brian@blueonionlabs.com. I'm a CPA, happy to talk through any of this. Also do a lot of work with our product, so can speak specifically to how we try to solve those problems on our end. So with that, I think that brings us to a close here, and just looking forward to helping everybody get through their month end faster, and hearing any thoughts and feedback on anything we're doing here at Blue Onion.